I'm an alcoholic. My name is Tom. And thank you, Tony, for asking me to come and share. I've heard about you guys for a long time, and it's nice to be here and be part of this. So this is very cool. For guys that spend time with me in other meetings, I'm going to start with something you have heard constantly, which is, can we take a second to say prayers for John S.? And before we start the prayers, I want to just explain to you who John S. is. John S. is the 24-year-old son of a dear, dear friend of mine who is in a nasty battle with cancer. And if you can give me 30 seconds of prayer for him, I am harnessing all the energy I can. Thank you so much. I made a commitment to that friend. This is a guy I've known since third grade. We raised kids together, and then you have something like this happen, and you get to the point where it's like, your kids do not go before you. I just, in my mind, that's one of those things that just does not compute. So I had a conversation with him, and things kind of went from bad to worse, and he said, well, the doctors are giving him a 20% chance of living. And that just blew my mind. And what I heard on the other end of the phone was, well, 20% is better than no chance at all. And I was like, shit. If I was in your position, I would be proud to have that much strength. So I made a commitment to him. I said, I am going to pray constantly, and I'm going to ask every person that I encounter to pray for your son. And together we're going to send healing energy his way. So that has been the commitment. Commitment is where I wanted to kind of go with this whole thing tonight. I've been sober a little while, and I was reflecting over the past couple of days on early sobriety, if that's what you want to call it. It's a shit show in my world. I had a year sobriety. I think I was about doubly as crazy 1 year sober as I was probably in the worst of it. I was an alcoholic with no alcohol. That's what I was. I picked up a new sponsor. He's here tonight. And he got to witness some of this madness, and he thought, what would be a good thing for this guy would be an interesting commitment. And so he said, I wonder if you would mind meeting me at this address. He gave me an address, and I need you to be there at about 6:45 on this particular evening. I said, sure, I'll go. And he goes, showed up. And as I was driving down the street, I was thinking, I've been down the street before, and I believe when I drove down the street that I noted it as a street I didn't want to drive down again, and it was the street that the Salvation Army men's unit is on. So both sides of the street are lined with some pretty badass guys, and so it was interesting. I kind of said, I wonder what we're doing here. So I walked in the front door, and there he was with a big smile on his face, and he said, great, okay. He introduced me to the head guy at the program, and he said, this is Tom, and he's going to be taking care of your group tonight, and thanks very much, I'll see you later. And he turned around and walked out the door, and I was like, what am I doing? And the guy goes, oh, you're doing the 0 to 60 group right through those doors over there.
Perfect.
And I said, I'm doing the group. What exactly am I doing to the group? And he goes, go tell him about AA. Tell him about AA. What the fuck do I know about AA? So I I'm looking at the door and I'm trying to suss if there's a way to get out of this whole thing. And you know, I turned around and I went inside. Those big double doors, and I opened the double doors, and there was a group about 50% larger than this group right here. And I would say a good 75% of them were fresh out of prison. These guys had just gotten there. You know, this was their step up. And I opened this door and I looked in there and I looked across. There was about 150 men in that room, and I went, let the door close. I turned around and I started walking out the front door. And the head guy from the Salvation Army was looking at me and he was like, is everything okay? And I didn't expect that, and I said, yeah, I just need to go to the bathroom. And he goes, it's right there. And literally, it was right there across the desk. Thank you. I went into the bathroom, and I did not know what to do. I did not need to pee. I did not need to take a shit. I just stood there. And the next thing I did was I knelt down on the floor of that bathroom and I prayed, because I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, God, you got to help me. You know, I don't know what to do. So I took a few deep breaths, splashed some water on my face, turned back around. Of course, the guy was literally standing at the door. He knew what was going on. He knew I was ready to make a break, and pointed me back to where I needed to go. I walked in the room. I was fucking terrified. I sat down and I just took a deep breath, and the words that came out of me, I have no idea where the hell they came from. I'm going to say divine intervention. But what came out of my mouth was, I wonder what you motherfuckers are thinking a candy-ass white boy is going to tell you about sobriety. And the body language in the entire room went from this to this. Like, everybody got up on this, like, what is this going to be, you know? And I followed this up with, I said, I'm here because I made a commitment to be here. I'm not here for any one of you. I don't care what you guys do. I don't care whether or not you listen to me. I don't care if you get up and walk out the door right now. I'm here because me fulfilling this commitment is good for me. And as the words came out of my mouth, I wondered again, I was like, is that the truth? Is that really the truth? And even like 30 years later, I can look back on that and it was the truth. My reality since that time has been saying yes to AA requests. It might help Tony. It might help Tom. I might check a box on their plate. But that's a gift I give to myself. Me coming and talking to you guys tonight is a gift I give to me. Do you get anything out of it? I don't know. Like, you all might be sitting there going, this guy's an asshole. I wish he would shut up. You know, in 8 minutes and a half, I will. And that'll be good for everybody. But the reality is that stepping up is an exercise that I do on a somewhat regular basis, and every time I do it, I remind myself that this is a selfish program. This is a program that we, each and every one of us, are doing to better ourselves. I can tell you that I found my way in here because I had an ex-wife many, many years ago who said, it's either this or that. It's either, either you go get sober. And that's how I ended up at my first meeting. That's not how I got sober. I got sober from finally having enough and finally kind of getting to that point where it was done. So as I kind of walk through it at this point, I think that the important message that I'm going to put out there is it's a reminder to me to look for those opportunities and listen when somebody's when it's a newcomer, when it's somebody who's just finding their way. I think for years I would listen kind of, and I was like, well, I'm glad I'm not that guy. Again, that's selfish. I'm being 100% transparent. But it's not until I put my hand up or agree to sponsor a guy that I get the gift of working with another alcoholic, where the magic of step 12 comes in, where me giving it back to another person is me giving it back to myself. And that has been the greatest leaps and bounds. I can tell you that at 28 years of sobriety, I would not qualify for the half measures table in the back. I would qualify for Jonathan Morona's quarter measure table, which is out in the hallway, down the hall a little bit to the left by the bathroom. I have got a great sponsor, and he has constantly encouraged me when I have had times where I start to phase out of this program. He's good at reminding me subtly that maybe engaging would make me feel better. It's the last thing I think I want to do. It is absolutely at the top of my list of things I don't really feel like. I can tell you that about 3 or 4 years ago, I found myself in meetings where it was just like, how much longer? Can I take off early? Can I? And making that switch from that to showing up a half hour early and staying a half hour later. Is anybody else at the meeting getting anything out of that? I don't know. I really don't know. I know I am. And so the way I view this program is this is a commitment to myself. And I look out there at each and every one of you, and they talk about the only thing that we need to have for admittance is the desire to stop drinking. That's true. That's number one. But to get any degree of time together, we make a commitment. We just say, you know what, this is something I'm going to stick with. I'm going to work the steps. I'm going to get a sponsor. I'm going to try to find somebody to help me through this. I'm going to show up when I say I'm going to show up. All these little commitments are things that end up delivering me the greatest benefit. And so I'm going to wrap it up there. I really want to hear from you guys. Tony, I love you. You're the greatest trudging buddy ever. Tom Amistoy, I love you. Greatest sponsor ever. And I'm going to turn it over. I got 4 minutes left, but I'm going to send it out to you guys. I want to hear from you. So thanks for letting me share.